Hello and welcome to another Wargame Red Dragon video with me, Bubblebox, and today there was an update for Wargame, some new maps, Map Pack 3. There has been a couple before this which are introducing over the next few months some extra maps and added content and some balancing for some of the units, which is all well needed to keep this game fresh and alive, especially in the multiplayer. So the first map we're going to have a look at is a ported classical map called Thüringer Wald, and this has been made into a couple of variants. This is the first one. It's a 3v3 called Snake Pit. Now this was never one of my favourites. I think this is a Wargame Airland Battle map originally, and it was never one of my favourites. I used to play a lot, but I think it could be really good in Red Dragon. As you can see, first of all, it is a symmetrical map, so everything on one side is exactly the same as everything on the other side, so probably a nice balanced map. But the first thing I've noticed already is a mistake. They have +5 for golf, +5 for Charlie on our side here, and on the enemy side they have +4 for Kilo and +4 for Juliet, with all of the other regions being symmetrical with one another as far as I can tell. So I think that's probably a glaring error on behalf of Eugen just to miss that off, even though I've noticed it straight away. That's just a bit weird. However, let's have a look at the map. The first thing you notice is this long road running all the way through the middle. There's also a road skirting around the right side of the map, and a road skirting around, like a big ring road actually, around the whole thing, with lots of interchanging roads as well. So there's what used to happen kind of in Wargame. There used to be big battles in the middle, but you also used to get on Airland Battle, you used to get quite big battles occurring over on this side, in this kind of area here, fighting over this town, and used to put like AA up on the hills here, trying to flank around and get around India and stuff. And the same on the left hand side with Lima here, trying to get control of this road which leads down to Kilo, and all of these little towns, this one on the left here, the one in the middle just here, and all these little towns in the middle here used to be really points of contention and areas that you really wanted to get hold of at the beginning of the game and wanted to control at the beginning of the game. I always used to love going up this right hand side and battling over this little compound here. Used to have some great battles over there. As far as the rest of the map's concerned, well, it's going to be a pretty high scoring map, so if you're playing Destruction you're going to be getting a lot of points, especially if you're on high income or something like that. But you can see, although there's some little towns spread around and about, the rest of the map's pretty much devoid of towns and cities, and it's all about little hillocks with little areas of trees in all these regions. And you can see all these elevated little hillocks everywhere where you can hide your AA, maybe hide a bit of infantry. Then you've got bits of open ground, so you're going to have to choose here. Do you use infantry? Do you use your short range tanks maybe? Because you're going to be like having all these lines of sights sort of blocked for your powerful long range tanks. So what are you going to use? Are you going to use aircraft? Are they going to have man pads hidden in all of these tree lines and everything? It's going to be a really interesting map to get to grips with. So a pretty nice map there, 3v3 Snake Pit. So next we have another Thüringer Wald variant, similar to Snake Pit, 3v3 Crossroads, but this time it's kind of been turned around. The regions have been changed somewhat. You can see we've got this massive region of hotel on the right, really long stringy region, a long stringy region of delta on the right here, sorry, on the left, and then on the right delta. And they've got these some quite small regions like Charlie here and India. Again, a symmetrical map, so balancing shouldn't be a problem on this map. Only one base for each side this time, so you've got Juliet down here, both 8 pointers this time, so they've got it right this time, and Bravo up there in the north. Apart from that, the map very similar. This time you've got the big long road going from one base to the other, with the little towns which are going to be areas of contention to put your infantry in, and you've got your little towns dotted around the place as well. And then basically the regions very similar to the last map, hillocks and areas of trees. But I'm kind of preferring the last map over this one with the 2 start regions. Both are meant to be 3v3 maps, but I'm sure these are going to be played as 4v4 maps as well. And next we've got 4 variants of existing maps, and the first is the 4v4 Heartbreak Ridge. 4v4, but a massive map. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but is this not the 10v10. Is it the 10v10 map? Asgard or Gol, or whatever it's called. I think it might be. But anyway, they've kind of turned it round and they've given us 2 spawn points on each side. We've got Romeo and Kilo up here, down here, and Alpha and November in the north. And then we've got this big circular region here with all of these regions to capture, which is going to be an absolute infantry fest in the middle, with vehicles probably ploughing their way through the centre, through all these trees as well. But what makes this a bit different to the last map is you've got quite big urban areas in both within the sectors, like Lima here, Sierra, Tango, Juliet, India. And again, I think this is fairly much a mirror image map as well. You've got some open areas as well for tank warfare, like this one, for example, between the towns. So a nice balanced map so it's got areas of town, you've got open areas, you've got lots of tree areas, but this centre area will be really interesting to see all those infantry battles going on. You've got quite wide areas that you can try and flank the enemy as well, with these open ground on the left and on the right. And that'll be useful to see if this map's used for 10v10s as well. So next we have another 4v4 map, Crown of Crags, and I have to say, so far this could be my favourite just from looking at it initially, giving my first impressions. This map looks superb, and I'll tell you why. Because it's got lots of different regions and it's going to have lots of different types of fighting. In the centre you've got this huge urban area where you're going to have some really fantastic, if you get equal teams, you're going to have some fantastic urban warfare using all your infantry and your vehicles, and maybe some of your planes in here, and your artillery is going to be pounding in, and those Buratinos are going to be burning stuff away. A really interesting central area where all the points are pretty much up for grabs there. But also you've got side spawns. Now I love side spawns on maps because it gives you a whole different area where you can attack and where you're going to have to defend as well. So as well as going for the middle, you can go for the side spawn, and if you get a side spawn, then you've got the opportunity to flank the enemy quite rapidly, or move infantry in from the side, or reinforcements in from the side as well. So we've got this one over here at Hotel, got some little towns in there, but it's mostly fairly open, not a lot of places to hide. And on the other side you got Alpha. So it's going to be interesting, and they're both kind of equidistant from the spawn point here. So you've got Alpha there, maybe a little bit closer to India than to Delta, and then you've got Hotel maybe a little bit closer to Foxtrot than Kilo. But will you be seeing airborne assaults on these side spawns, or infantry rushes into the centre? Because the whole range of strategic and tactical possibilities for this map, and it looks like a really interesting one. So next we've got this supposedly 2v2 Operation Chomite. Now this map used to be this way around, with a spawn point here near Foxtrot and one over near Charlie, and you used to get a lot of fighting around this area of Bravo and sort of Foxtrot kind of area. And then on the left here, on the right here, you used to have a spawn point here near India and Hotel, and all the fighting used to occur in this kind of region with a region here. But now they've kind of spun it around. Nothing used to happen over here much because such a vast area of ocean or water to try to cross. But they've spun this one round. It's now a non-symmetrical map, not unlike the others we had a look at previously. The big area of water is kind of not really going to be used now. It's kind of just there to look at. But all the fighting is now going to be restricted to this kind of area here in the middle. Although it's a non kind of it's not a mirror kind of map, I think it looks fairly balanced, with Hotel having access to Echo, India access to Golf and Juliet, Delta access to Foxtrot, and Alpha access to Charlie and Bravo. There's lots of open areas, looks like, in the middle with trees, plenty of towns as well. Foxtrot's full of towns. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a mixture map, a bit of everything, and it will be interesting. I'm not sure what to make of this one yet. I'll have to just wait to see, play a few games on this one and see how this one turns out. Not my favourite amongst all the map packs so far. The last one's definitely my favourite so far, but we'll have to see how this one plays out. And finally we have the 1v1 map although probably could be used as a 2v2 as well, of course, Death Row. Now this is kind of looks like a cut out version of one of the much bigger maps, with just leaving these central regions in. I'm not quite sure what the map was called, but basically they've stuck a spawn point in Foxtrot, spawn point in Charlie, and you're going to have to make your way down this central valley, which is what it pretty much is, towards your enemy. Will be, of course, opportunities to flank, but it's quite hilly, so you can probably flank easily. There are roads, but it's going to take you a long time to get units around here by truck. You're going to have to fly them around, and just, all you need to do then is really just put a recon chopper out on the flanks, because this is going to be quite difficult and take a long time to transverse with infantry. So it looks like it's all going up this central area with a big cluster F in the middle when all the infantry meet each other around Bravo and Delta. That's the only way I can really, to be honest, see this one going, and it could be end up a massive battle of artillery. I'm not sure, but it's meant to be a 1v1, but could be interesting to have this as a 2v2 or even a 3v3, and seeing how many units you can absolutely destroy in the center here, especially if you get two equal teams. Again, not one of my favorite maps, but okay. So that's pretty much it. There are some other map changes to some of the other maps, but I'm not going to go over those. I'll put those in the description below if you're interested in having a look at those. But a nice addition, a nice patch, a few extra maps. Some of them look really, really interesting. Some of them look a little bit less so. Well, let me know what you think of these maps in the comments below. If you think this is a good patch, which maps you're looking forward to playing. If you've played them, what do you think of them? I'd like to thank you all very much for supporting and watching as usual. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.